Um, but it's a definitive first pick. Definitely
Mhm.
strong.
Yeah, interesting to see them prioritize it this high. I definitely agree. It doesn't give you the flash value that perhaps some of Lee or Manesi Fangay's other signature heroes do, but definitely he seems to have the inclination to make things happen in the early game. Super stable laning combination from T-Bird's going to come out in the CM Jugger. CM, one of the most highly regarded supports post 7.0. Great value build in the 1-1-1. Just makes all your lanes better with the Arcane Aura as well, and obviously can be greedy with her potential to farm the jungle. And Juggernaut Crystal Maiden, that in and of itself, very strong lane, very hard lane to contest. So just kind of a stable opening from T-Birds. Good to see the respect on the other side of the fray as well. CCNC taken away from T-Birds. Moon's Beastmaster, which has been first phase banned a lot against T-Birds, is going to be taken out here as well. And they're going to go for the early Ursa. Interesting here. Generally, we'll see Yawar play this, but there is some potential for CCNC take it in towards the mid lane. So still some variability left over for this is GG draft. As Thunderbirds, they're going to opt to ban out the Axe here.
I think Ursa really kind of sets the tone for how SDG wants to play this.
Mm-hmm.
Ursa isn't really a hero that can go super late, so they definitely want to put a lot of pressure on the map early. Maybe have Ursa making space for a farming mid, or have Ursa make space for a farming safe laner, or maybe just go all out aggression and try and end the game before 40 minutes. Um, it's kind of hard in this patch to do something like that, but
Yeah.
with a hero like Ursa, you can grab a Desolator and really hurt towers, hurt heroes. Definitely a lot of room to grow in this draft.
Yeah, Ursa, a certainly unforgiving kind of feast or famine pick. You get a big lead. You have to take structures. You have to take Roche. Else, as you mentioned, 7.0 Dota with the shrines, very hard to take high ground. Ursa, not the best. That's generally what his Ursa drafts lack is the siege. So he really needs to get snowballing, get off to a good lead, break high ground. Treant, though, definitely an enabler. I mean, both the living armor as well as the overgrowth, maybe more importantly, able to lock down enemy heroes, even Jugger through spin if he times it well. And, in that sense, a wise ban on the Axe from Thunderbirds to kind of enable this Ursa, have a killing blow for the Juggernaut that goes through spin as well. So a lot of physical damage and pure damage from the counter Helix available to that duo of the Ursa Axe. I think it's a wise ban in that sense. But yeah, I agree with you in the sense that Ursa, despite being this early on, is fairly telling as to the draft. You're not going to see a supporter, so they want to fight, they want to snowball, they want to get a lead, and thus far, Epicenter banning out two heroes that essentially look to really press advantages, and the Axe and the Coddle.
Thunderbirds' offlaner is going to be a really important part of their draft. A Treant Protector Ursa dual lane can just generate kills by themselves. You leech seed, run them down with an Orb of Venom, and it's Ursa just pounding you into oblivion. No offlaner can survive that. So it's going to be difficult for Thunderbirds to pick a hero that can not die in that lane and to farm enough to make space for the mid game. Maybe something like, oh, Darkseid was just banned. I guess they can go for the Clockwork again like they did last game, but that could be rough if you get in the cogs.
Yeah, so there was a point in time where Clock was a really good way to deal with Ursa, but after the changes to Enrage, he doesn't care about Blade Mail at all. So he just jumps on you, pops out Enrage, and just shreds the Clock, whether he gets hooked or not. So really no longer a great solution. We did see Moon play very well in the Clockwork in the way that he positioned himself through fights. So it's always good, innately Ursa's weakness is always that he's kited often, but so the Clockwork is a solution in that sense, but no longer a true counter, maybe as he once was. Ogre going to be picked up here, so very stable support duo for the Thunderbird side in the Ogre. Crystal Maiden having the Arcane Aura as well. He can just kind of walk around the map, throw out ignites, hit people, and with that base armor and regen, Ogre should be just fine to continue trading. So I like the pick here. Also, you always get that bloodlust to help out your cores. So it gives them a little extra move speed, a little extra attack speed. But nothing too out of the ordinary for T-Birds thus far.
It's interesting how, aside from the respect bans in the beginning, they
Yeah.
really haven't done much to address CCNC's hero pool. He's been known to play an insanely, pretty big variety of heroes, anything from a TA, Lena, Shadow Fiend, even some weird stuff. But aside from that Lena ban, they really just focus on the offlane and the Coddle, which leaves them pretty wide open. They could potentially go for something now, or
Hmm.
maybe they'll hold off and go for another support.
Yeah, yeah. Generally, we see the mids in the last pick, but TA is just such a signature hero for CCC that it seems hard to pass up. Of course, there's still 2 slots left in the draft for them to counter this TA, as they don't have too much tick damage aside from the Leech Seed and maybe an Orb of Venom at this point. So we'll probably see them forgo it and pick up that all-important offlaner that you mentioned at this point. Bane, another really good hero with Ursa. Bane has great move speed base, and he can just nightmare you to allow the Ursa to walk up for an Earth Shock. So it's going to be very difficult, as you mentioned, for the offlaner of T-Birds, which looks to be a Nature's Prophet at this point for Moon. Rezo can play this, but that would be an odd laning configuration with Wii with the Juggernaut in mid, and then a Moon hero left over. Of course, the caveat there is Nature's Prophet can jungle, level 1. So it's possible that he just kind of abandons what looks to be a pretty damn scary lane.
Ursa's single target damage is absolutely insane, but he's not that great at dealing with treants early. So maybe Moon is thinking that he can use his treants to put some pressure on the lane and allow Ursa to not get as good of a lane as he's hoping for. But it definitely could be scary either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I mean, they can give the Ogre to Moon to help him out early, and that's probably what they'll do. I think if Moon lanes otherwise, he just dies repeatedly. CM Jug is pretty damn stable by themselves, hard to contest, so I think that's a possibility. Else, maybe he just goes to the jungle, but yeah, it's definitely a good point with the inability of this trio, Treant, Bane, Ursa, to really deal with a bunch of extra units walking around. So Ember Spirit going to be the pickup for CCNC, and that certainly is one of, I would say, the top 3 or 4 heroes that he plays. Ember, Ember, Lena, and TA, certainly the 3 that stand out to me. But does give them a direct counter to the NP, someone who's mobile can chase him around the map, as well as something that can clear those creeps a little later into the game.
Do you think Thunderbirds has enough to deal with this Ember Spirit right now, or are they going to work on it with itemization, or are they going to try and finish out their draft with a hero that can silence him, maybe hold him down, and
Yeah,
allow Juggernaut or Nature's Prophet to just really put the damage in? Because right now he can just
yeah,
dance all around the map and be as free as a bird.
certainly so. Lotus Orb is very good here to just kind of purge Frostbite or Orchid. I think Orchid is not a guarantee, but against the Ember Spirit, definitely a big consideration for the Nature's Prophet. But Ember Spirit should have a solution for it, if not by the time it comes out, soon after. So I definitely agree that Ember is certainly slated well in this game thus far. Is a little bit weak to physical damage, but as long as CCNC is disciplined about his spirit usage, feels very hard to kill in this one. Enigma ban is going to be the 5th one from T-Birds. And the Tinker again banned away from Wii. We saw this in the last series as well. Nature's Prophet Tinker gives you a lot of global presence. Could be a little bit scary. And the blind is really good against Ursa. But more than anything, I feel like it's just taking a comfort hero away from Wii. See what the offlaner is here for Snake King.
Oh, okay. Timbersaw's a good pick. I was gonna say ISGG could go for the Clockwork themselves because it's pretty good against Nature's Prophet, but Timbersaw is good too. Can't complain about that hero.
Yeah.
They can initiate with the Ember Spirit, balling in with a triple Remnant, getting some bolos out to chain people down. Timbersaw follows up.
Okay. Okay, so I think Timber was slated to have an absolutely expletive, amazing game beforehand. They have 0 burst whatsoever in the first 4 picks on T-Birds. But OD, kind of the direct counter to Timber. Still, though, the OD is going to have to be standing and right-clicking in a fight against Ursa, Bane, Tree, Ember. That doesn't seem easy. I don't know if how you feel about T-Birds draft overall, but I don't know if they have enough to enable this OD 5th pick Their front line is kind of limited when you pick a Nature's Prophet. Their disable is pretty much down to Fire Blast, which is crappy to say the least, and Frostbite. So we'll see how Wee gets off. He's going to need a good start and a relatively early BKB. But definitely a good hero to have against Ember in general, Ember in lane, Timbersaw in general, and the Imprison is always nice against Ursa. So we'll see how it pans out.
I feel like OD kind of has a really favorable matchup against Ember mid.
Sure.
So in the beginning, Stan King's probably going to have to hang around, offer some help, maybe harass the OD out of lane so Ember could farm a little bit. But once Ember is past 6 and he can remnant around, it won't be as much of an issue. But I think T-Birds is hoping that they can kind of win all 3 lanes and just snowball off of that.
Yeah.
Because if their lanes don't go so hot, they have 0 initiation and it'll be rough to win fights.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of the limitation I'm looking at there is, you know, once you pick a Nature's Prophet, if you don't get your control and initiation out of the mid lane, you're lacking heavily, and seems to be the case here. But either way, they have a healing ward, they have a Nature's Prophet, and they can spam out with the Arcane Aura. So if they do get a good laning stage, as you mentioned, they certainly can look at to take some early structures and get themselves a lead. Either way, it's a couple minutes needed by Stan King the God. And I guess NA becoming maybe more so than ever, dare I say, one of the more exciting regions recently. We've got a really solid top 5 now with IsGG, Thunderbirds, Complexity, NP, and DC. So going to be very interesting going in towards TI.
I think even so with SG and their crazy showing in Kiev, anything is possible in NA.
Yeah.
Who knows if they're going to get another, SA slot, but SG is definitely not a team to be underestimated. So NA has really become kind of a toss-up of a region. Like, you used to just think, oh, NP or Cole or T-Birds, but now it's just really anyone's game. All these really talented players finally coming out of the woodwork to put the pressure on and show NA is a dominant region again. Feels good, man.
Feels good, man. Indeed. 7 p.m. EST tomorrow, guys. Grand final. NP versus the winner of this matchup. Should be an exciting one. NP handled by DC earlier today in a Summit 7. So kind of the first hiccup in their honeymoon phase thus far. They've been doing very well since Fata joined and Aoi went back to support. EE back to 1 position, as in the Cloud9 days. But either way, ready to get underway here as we start the charge. 5-man smoke and Francis Lee up down towards the towards the bottom lane. On the Treant, as you touched upon, Saxa in the opposite movement, making his way towards top. Stan King may be able to spot him out here, but under the cover of smoke, he actually gets the ward off. So looks like all the warding missions successful thus far. Moon making his way down bottom. Saxa does get spotted, but Stan King gonna think that it's on the north cliff to the east just a bit.
I wonder if IsGG is thinking about aggressively laning against the Juggernaut with the Ursa, Bane, Treant, and putting Timbersaw in the safe lane. It seems like Yuar is walking towards the safe lane, so they're probably not gonna do that, but I don't know how. I think Timbersaw wants to land against the Nature's Prophet if he can. So you see the lanes kind of dancing around just because the reactive armor with all the trees hitting you, really favorable.
Then again, I mean, until Timbersaw is at least a level in chain or so, it's very hard for him to net a kill. He has nothing to cancel teleport, so it feels like both heroes farm that lane. But I do agree that the aggressive try certainly looks like a scary one. Resolution is able to pick up the boundary run. The Ignite should keep Yuar back. But it looks like they are going to consider this aggressive try lane. There is a dire lane ward down, though. Nothing really to cancel trees, to kill trees off in this lane, so Francis Lee should have a good time. Meanwhile, Moon, bottom lane, the one hero that can kind of get rid of a few trees for his allies, is going to be able to pull the wave away from Snaking, who is going to have his 1v1 matchup. top lane. Sax taking a bunch of damage there. As Yawar looking to back off Resolution. And Misery quite a ways away from the lane at the moment. Jungling away, as Crystal Maidens tend to do. We'll see how well this goes for the IsGG side. Stan King attempting a pull. Does get hit by the right click, so he will be able to pull that back. And that's very important to this early aggressive lane, as really do need to get a little bit of an extra boost in experience, having 3 heroes in such close quarters, the Radiant side.
Resolution forced into the salve already after taking 3 right clicks from the Treant Protector with his 91, well 93 base damage with the Fairy Fire on top of it. Crazy damage at level 1. Well, I think
Sentry.
he might go down here though.
Yeah, he's gonna catch him, and Blade Fury will finish him off. First blood gonna help Resolution in the way of maybe picking up some regen to supplement for what he had lost. He's going to get a magic stick as well as a set of boots for himself. Mid lane, in the meantime, CCNC doing very admirably up against the 1v1 of the OD, excuse me, actually winning the CS war fairly substantially. So, Radiant haven't given up on this aggressive try just yet. Often we see these disperse relatively quickly if they're not successful. But they will Sentry to give Lee a bit more
Snaking actually taking a lot of damage bottom. Nature's Prophet, after that damage buff, really dealing a lot. He's got Over Venom too. He's already out of regen. He got the 2 mangoes though, I guess. So he'll heal back up. It's definitely not what he wants.
Yeah, still not ideal to be out of regen at this point. Meanwhile, Misery top lane does end up going down to the, as he was committing a pull, it seems, to the combination of Flea and Stan King. And Yawar, he's gained enough CS in this lane if you look relative to his opponents. Here a couple of minutes in. But Moon doing well bottom. Misery making a rotation down, and this is not what Snake King's expecting at this point. There's the Crystal Maiden to walk bottom. Misery, though, well, he thinks twice as he backs into the fog and actually gets the ward down north of the trees. So we'll just hang around bottom lane. Snake King, though, fortunately for him, is going to back all the way to base and do that walk of shame.
Reza is still securing a semi-okay amount of farm, 10 CS. Definitely not awful. I guess Snake King has more in his safe lane, but it's rough for both of them. Like, Snake King had to go home, Reza was running back and forth between the lane and the creeps just to get away from this insane harass.
Misery playing over near the side shot. So for now, Thunderbirds are going to be a bit greedy and just leave it on Rezo and Saxa to get as much as they can out of this top lane. And it looks like, you know, for the most part, they should be able to at least get some experience. Moon is winning his lane thus far bottom. He's about to hit that level 5 mark. Snake King a little bit behind, but still, as we mentioned earlier, both these heroes are going to get farm out of this lane. So who's able to contribute more to their team's cause thereafter. CCNC did make it down towards the bottom shrine, had to use that up. Will make his way back to lane, as with a couple more levels, Wee has now taken command in this mid lane.
Misery just farming away though, which is always good.
Yeah.
He's gonna hit level 4 soon. That aura is invaluable to your team.
Top lane, TP in. Moon gonna come in, and the Blade Fury is there onto Yawar. They will try to sleep him defensively. The Sprout gonna keep him safe for a second. He looks to turn and fight into Rezo with the Brain Sap and Magic Stick charges. He needs another couple right clicks, but will end up ticking out. Now Stan King in trouble. Moon, he right clicks pretty heavily here, and maybe just a little bit underestimated, as this aggressive tri-lane will be thwarted and heavily as Moon makes his first rotation up towards top with 5 levels under his belt and that set of phase boots. As you mentioned, right clicking with force actually does get his TP cancelled by the bash. That's gonna hurt and cost him a bit of time. Meanwhile, Snake King rotating up, doesn't have the chakram yet though. One more chain will, however, the Sprout in the way, and Moon will make it away. So Snake King's rotation I don't say all for naught at this point, because they are going to choose to disperse the lane and give Yawar some time to farm. But unable to net the kill. Mango popped up there by snaking. And Misery perhaps in a little bit of trouble. Going to make his way through the trees here and try and Ukarama, and he will be successful. Nicely played by the Thunderbirds captain. You are trying to get to work bottom lane, but has had a rough early start of that death. Still though, Rezo, relatively not much more farmed. And now Moon makes his way down towards bottom, where he'll give Yawar a good run for his money.
The OD Ember matchup has reached critical mass, having Weeha getting all his levels that he needs. CCNT has to fall back into the jungle and just hit creeps and get bounty runes while stanking Soak's XP. These right clicks doing crazy damage from the OD.
He's going for the stayability build with the 3 points in the Essence Shift. Getting greedy with the extra Arcane Orb, or even the extra points in Astral for the range. Misery gets the Frostbite off bottom, but CCNC's rotated in, and they will find this kill here. Ember Spirit gonna get some much needed gold and experience as he makes his way towards the top.
You can't farm creeps, farm heroes. CCNC getting the kill right there.
Definitely something that the Ember absolutely feasts on and relies on to some extent. I mean, Flame Guard a pretty good tool for farming up creeps, especially if you got a Veil, but this is a hero that certainly wants to snowball in towards that kind of 11-12 minute mark. So he's going to get a good start here. Sub 10 minutes finds his first rotation, and generally support kills relatively inconsequential, but Misery did spend some time farming, so not a bad kill to net at all. Lee top lane, not in range of Rezo with the phase boots. And meanwhile, TP inbound top lane as well. Moon jumps forward, and they're going to look to bring down the Treant, who does get off into the Nature's Guys, and even dusted up, he's too fast for them to bring down. Moon is forced to TP out by snaking. They will end up killing off the tree, but they do force the Nature's Prophet out of the lane. Snaking still pressing forward, has 7 stick charges. No Soul Ring for 8 seconds though, so going to be difficult to kill off Misery, and he will not prevail in that attempt. So just the Treant kill overall. Pretty big rotation, but CCNC, I mean, he's not pushing your tower mid. Your War's not pushing your tower bottom, so really no trades found elsewhere for the side of his GG.
Weeha actually went down to CCNC in the mid lane during that fight. Seems like out of position or something. I didn't catch it, but definitely a big kill with the way Weeha's been farming for CCNC. Got double damage now. Maybe he can make something happen on Moon.
He assumes the top spot on the net worth, and Nature's Prophet is certainly a hero the Ember Spear can kill off. Saves his chains. And while top lane snaking going in, finding the Crystal Maiden. Wee's made his rotation over, thinking just with enough mana to chain out. And Flea able to make it into the safety of the tree. CCNC is going to walk back over towards mid where Rezo resides. Rezo does have the spin as well as Omni, so difficult kill, but he's going to pop the DD, and it'll just back off the Juggernaut for now. Meanwhile, top lane, Nightmare goes out onto Wheat. We'll get the Chakram off on it, and the pure damage from the Brain Sap is there as well. Imprison is there, though. He turns onto Flea, gets the kill. Snaking now going to come out with the Chakram there. Going to put some damage into Moon. They will be able to surround Stan King with the Treants and the Sanity's Eclipse. Double kill for Wee. And Timbersaw hanging around a little bit too long. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Misery is going to get killed off by Yawar. But still, across the map, very good trade for Thunderbird side. CCNC went down mid lane as well. Resolution able to utilize that Omni Slash and bait in the Ember. So a huge win across the map, especially with potentially this tier 1 tower, but Flea setting up, gets the bash off. Chakram is there as well. Chain through, pull, Whirling Death is there. They do get the last hit on the tower using Moon. Brain Sap will bring down the OD, however, and they'll sleep up the Ogre. Moon will look to TP out. He'll be successful in doing so. CCNC will come to clean up the mess and gets himself a kill on the Ogre. Still, though, overall, Thunderbirds don't seem too displeased. If they were able to get the OD out there, they would have been in a much better situation. And meanwhile, Yawar, trapped up bottom. Moon has been immaculate with his tree positioning in this game. much like his cogs are the last series. And Thunderbirds finding trades all over the map. They'll get to work on this bottom lane. Healing ward up for another 15 seconds, so should be more than enough time. Francis Lee still lacking that pivotal overgrowth here. And Moon will give them a lot of vision by taking out the trees south of the tower. Snaking top lane. Oh, Saxa doesn't get in range for the Fire Blast, and Thanking could be in trouble. He gets the grip off. Chakram is there, and they can't cancel it because it's from the tree line, but we'll finally be able to do so with Saxa. They still get the OD in time. Snaking likely will lose his life for this, and does. Thanking goes to the TPL. Second Fire Blast is there, and they'll kill him off. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Misery TPing out. Okay, Stanky almost makes it out, but ECNC right-clicking. Jawar unable to take out Resolution bottom. So they do get the OD first, but they lose Snaking and Stanking. Top lane. Now Resolution. Rotating down south. TP coming in as well. CCNC. Oh, Omnislash just the one jump. CCNC makes it back to safety. And a bit of an optimistic attempt from Rezo, but if it nets him a kill, it is a big one. As Resolution and we beginning to assume the top spots on net worth and looking to widen the gap from Yawar and CCNC. Yawar still 250 gold from his Blink Dagger.
I'll take that as tribute.
CCNC prioritizing the blade mail as his first item as opposed to the mail. Really strong against the OD.
Yeah.
Definitely good in general against T-Birds' lineup, but I think, you know, it's just an unfavorable game for him. It's like a hard game for him to really do what he wants. He can get imprisoned, he can get, you know, Omnislash, stuff like that. Having your install as an Ember is really rough, especially if you don't itemize to have more in.
Guar finally does pick up the Blink. Perhaps this will allow him to get in tandem with CCNC and try and make some plays to allow them to snowball a little bit better, but Thunderbirds realizing their strength right now, and they are going to queue up the charge. 3-man smoke, Misery, Saxa, and we. 10A's Eclipse is available. Misery does not have the freezing field, but will ding 7 shortly, so can skill it up if need be. Wrapping around top lane, Rezo serving as bait. They haven't seen anyone just yet, and now Rezo, he could be in trouble. He's actually spinning down towards the south, and maybe they don't expect this. Nature's Wrath comes through, does a lot of damage. Early Sanity's Eclipse, but it hits everyone. Resolution with the healing ward, able to make it out. Freezing Field is there. Yawar in trouble. He's sprouted up, and Thunderbirds outmaneuvering is GG, baiting them into a fight with Rezo. And Rezo will even get his mana pool healed up here from the Essence Aura, just as an added bonus. Now Snaking mid lane's gonna get sprouted up. Oh, blocks the chain. Good timing for Moon. And the Nova's there as well. He's not imprisoned though, and will be able to make it back and away. So we pulls the trigger on the hammer early, but not only does it do damage, even though it's not lethal damage, it's gonna be burning the mana of all the enemies, and ends up paying dividends in that fight. Really well played from Thunderbirds.
Is doing exactly what he needs to do for his team in this game, being all over the map, farming crazy fast, top of the net worth by like almost 2k, just being where he needs to be at all times, enabling his team to do what they need to do to win fights, to lock down the Ursa. Really, really well played by Moon.
Nothing more fun than a good Nature's Prophet game. Everywhere on the map at any given time. And yeah, Moon, as Nature's Prophets tend to do, really racking up the farm. Gonna even accelerate that further with the Maelstrom pickup on top of the Midas. But yeah, Resolution, he's recovered from, you know, rough beginnings in that top lane. Does have the Yasha, but more importantly than that, just sitting second overall in net worth. Only gonna be nice, and maybe more so than the farm of we and Resolution is the lack of farm of Yawar and CCNC at this point, considering, you know, the nature of their heroes and where you would want them to be. Just sitting on the blade mail for CCNC. Yawar only with the blink, and very difficult without, you know, ECNC by his side to lock anyone down and kill them off. And with the Imprison, if you're able to just astral the target they go on, that's most of their fight taken away. They really need to get down that first target, and quickly with the Ursa, which is where this OD pick certainly working out thus far for Thunderbirds.
Uar actually has the Midas queued up, hoping this game will go late enough that he can start to come back. It's a rough game for him because he wants to get kills, but his lineup doesn't really favor it too much. So either he needs a Roche or he needs to power farm, and Midas is the item that he's hoping will allow him to do that.
Certainly so, and Arcane Rune picked up by Wii now, and they'll perhaps just continue to push in towards this mid lane. They're a little bit spread out for T-Birds. Resolution playing safe, so showing kind of the lack of awareness of the entire enemy lineup. Wii playing pretty safe as well in towards the mid lane. Moon does complete up his Maelstrom here. And Thunderbirds look for them to get ready to fight again relatively soon. They are only a couple hundred gold, a recipe away from the Manta for Rezo. So very hard to kill him off. We has the Midas taken away, so should be able to get that Hurricane Pike up and running relatively soon. And top lane, Uar gonna get himself a tower here, it seems, but there are TPs inbound. He may just pay with his life for this. 1 second until Blink doesn't get it off. They will be able to stun him up. He's gonna turn. Freezing Field is there. Actually ends up TPing away. Heads up play by Uar.
Heads up play.
As the Fire Blast coming out a bit early there. Perhaps did feel like they needed the Fire Blast to keep him there, but either way, he ends up TPing out. CCNC gonna have to remnant out of bot lane as Moon putting some damage into him. That'll be all she wrote for those micro skirmishes across the map. 2,000 gold in the pockets of Wii. We'll see which route he opts to go for. Has the Hurricane Pike queued up currently. Now in mid lane, Moon gonna jump forward with Resolution. They have the healing ward up. CCNC goes for the slight chains. Wii not able to get in range. Do put some right clicks into the Ember. Living armor is there, but Resolution feeling very safe with his spin ready and waiting. Is gonna get nightmared up. Still though, Nature's Prophet into the tower he goes. Saxa and Misery bodying away the enemy. And spin away. T-Bird's gonna look to make the extraction. They do get the jump forward, but dodge on the Timber combo from Wii. Now Uar trying to go in. Unable to do so. Nature's Wrath is there. The Crystal Nova keeping them down. The Sandings Eclipse on the north side brings down the Timber. CCNC forced to remnant away. One more right click will kill him off. He needs to remnant down to the low ground, but he's unable to do so. And Rezo finishes him off. Ignite now into Uar. And they do find Moon with the grip. It looks like they maybe will get the Nature's Prophet, but they cancel it with Misery. Freezing Field is there. It's going to be canceled immediately by the Overgrowth, but OD chasing in. Misses uphill on Francis Lee. And that'll be all she wrote for that engagement. Still, though, it's a overall 2-0. Thunderbirds losing nothing but a few cooldowns there. And they do get that tier 1 in the mid lane. And now they're looking at Roche.
How can SCG contest this Roche right now? Maybe a triple remnant balls out play, but I feel like they're just going to focus on farming and trying to hang on longer in this game.
Feels like this OD was just the perfect solution in that 5th slot for Thunderbirds. They just don't really have much of a way to deal with the Imprison. The Ursa has yet to do anything of consequence in these fights. Healing ward, a couple of disables, you know, available to the Ogre and the CM, and the Imprison as well. It's just easy to kite him around. Now they have the Aegis on the OD. Resolution, he's got the medallion behind him with Saxa and Bloodlust at work here on these two cores. They'll just be able to take out this tier 2.
This'll come in handy.
I'm going for a Shadow Blade and focusing on split pushing as opposed to team fighting. Maybe CCNC goes down here? Close.
Does end up making it up. Can kind of provide vision for his other heroes with the Shadow Blade. Maybe just allows him to escape as well. But yeah, it definitely feels like they're super strong as a 5-man. If we go something like Mech or even Orchid here, that's kind of feels like game-ending material. Either way.
Yeah, I think he's made the right item choice. I mean, if you buy the wrong item now and you lose your lead, you know, Nature's Prophet becomes like a pretty easy pick off for a hero like Ember. But
Right.
something like a Shadow Blade ensures his ability to split push throughout the game, forcing the enemy team to buy detection, get vision, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Yawar and Snake King, they'll be able to get their team a small prize in this tier 2 top lane. Hurricane Pike completed up now for Wii, and he's going to make his way over. Meanwhile, mid lane shoving into Manta Illusions. Wii showing top lane. And everyone from his GG going to turn tail and run. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Rezo makes his way out. He's going to be stalked by the Treant. No sentries down in this area. No gem either. Misery, 25 gold away from his Midas. Doesn't have to purchase up any sort of support items.
Soxa walking around with a full Solar Crest at 20 minutes is always good for a support. Really even doing more to inhibit the Ursa from hitting heroes.
Moon top lane. Snake King's behind him, but no one else in tow from his GG side.
You are realizing the state of the game that he's in and going for the third item BKB on Ursa.
He really feels not only the BKB to allow him to walk freely, but something like a Basher or Abyssal to be able to lock anyone down, or any of his targets down. Still feels aeons away for him. And now with the Bloodlust, Rezo and Wii gonna get to work on second to last outer tier tower for the Radiant side. They'll take it without contest. Meanwhile, mid lane, Soxa could be in a little bit of trouble. CCNC though gonna look to take mid lane out. No Bloodlust up the tower, and looks like Yawar may net his first kill on the Ogre. Meanwhile, though, bottom lane, they do get the Treant and the tier 2. Still, though, any trade that goes roughly even across the map is GG are going to be happy with this at this point, especially considering Aegis is on Wii's person.
Should be expiring fairly soon, I think. ESGG is trying to avoid as many fights as they can as they farm up on their heroes.
Yep.
I think once they have the BKB on Ursa, they can probably take a fight. But before that, it's definitely rougher.
Snake
Some trouble.
And that is there was no second thoughts in his mind about that suicide attempt. He will. Is that a first purchase and then suicide? That's always great. With the Bloodstone, either way, better than giving the kill over. And just very difficult for them to push these lanes out. Stan King is probably dead before he even knows it. Hurricane Pike available. Well, doesn't quite get Wii to the high ground. Meanwhile, Moon, though, one right click out of Shadow Blade.
The rune of regeneration.
Moon going for his completed Mjolnir now after finishing the Silver Edge. Very, very farmed on him.
Yeah. He's going to be doing a lot of damage from the back lines. Can just throw that static charge on that Juggernaut as well. Allow him to siege, allow him to run into the fight. And Moon has done a great job of finding the farm. Flea, though, very near to his Blink Dagger on the if he opts for that. Looking like a Solar Crust right now, but saving the gold. Could be a really nice tool for them to have to help enable Yawar, who really hasn't been able to right-click a single target. Goes for it again, and there it is, Force Staff out from Wii. Thunderbirds patient here. Still at least 2 minutes until the next Roche. Smoke gonna come out from the SGG side. Mid lane is shoving in, however. Snake King gonna reveal. At least shove that out. Meanwhile, top lane. Grant is gonna be scouted here by the sentry of the Dire side. And bot lane Moon doing his thing as a prophet. Does pick up the Silver Edge. Gonna be really nice against the Timbersaw specifically. Dire scan looking for anyone nearby with this tree. They do have the sentry. And Francis Lee going to be able to make it out towards the west. Crystal Nova just misses catching him. He will make it down to the south, but more than likely will mean that his tier 2 is going to drop here. Blink Dagger picked up by Rezo. He's looking to find the tree, but he'll just
He
get
actually
blessed
goes
out.
for the Midas.
Okay.
Interesting.
Best item in Dota other than Solar Crest.
This'll come in handy.
Yeah.
I don't know how that helps you here. But relying on high ground, they have an Ember Spirit, a Timber Saw, and an Overgrowth. So, you know, if they make a miraculous high ground attempt, maybe that allows them to transition. Still feels like Blink could be real good for that high ground defense. That is impending.
Behold, a subtle bird.
Yeah, it looks like a patient game from Thunderbirds. Probably just wait out the next Roche. They feel that they have immaculate map control at this point. They have 2 deep wards down to kind of see the movements out of base. CNC. Under the cover of Invis. Better not hope a sentry gets dropped. As it does, he makes it down to the south. Still no tier 3s taken, so Brians are safe for the time being, and that means IsGG can contest Roche if they're weary of the attempt.
Selfish.
You are deep in enemy territory. Might have to BKB TP.
Gets Astral first, does have the BKB. Don't have any way to cancel this, he will enrage and just get out. Not the ideal way to use that first charge. Rezo, meanwhile, in the bottom lane, is going to be able to blink himself into the trees and safety and make it away. Snake King. Moon has an idea of where he is. Can't kill him off solo. Does have the silver edge, though. We going to join up with his Prophet and flee nearby bottom lane. And Roche finally spawned.
Yeah, Moon is going to work already. Probably gonna give it to Luha again.
Yeah, the last piece of the puzzle for T-Birds and their lineup. And they'll take this with ease. So to Wii it goes. He's got the residual duration of a double damage rune as well. Although not amazing on OD. Has the blink and the pike. Aegis as well, so can't just jump in like that. And steal himself a little bit of int, if nothing else. Still Moon need.
Misery. Pretty good against the Ember. That's the lockdown you need to ultimate place.
Probably the most important point. Has a couple of a volley of arcane orbs thrown from the low ground. 28 int already on Wii before this battle even begins. Making gonna jump forward, and they will nightmare up Rezo. He'll have that cancelled from the backlines. Bloodlusted up with the shine on from the Solar Crest. He's gonna get to work. We'll get the spin off. Yawar is gonna be forced to pop the Enrage to purge the Frostbite. Now jump forward with the Hurricane Pike. Blade Mail doing some work into Wii. And the grip comes out, but the immediate cancel with the Astral Imprisonment. Yawar, though, jumps forward. He with the BKB, he is going to find Misery. Now the Nightmare is out onto the Outworld Devourer, who does have Aegis. Tons of int stolen, though. May want to use this before he goes down. Does not end up doing it. Do they look to re-engage here? Jumping forward is Wii. Couple of right clicks. Timber has the BKB active, but still ends up. Oh, Omni Slash gonna jump forward. Does kill off Stan King. At least. Light Chains onto Saxa, gonna bring him low. He's gonna drop to the Remnant. And miraculous base defense for now. Successful. Still though, no cores dying on Thunderbird's side. Aegis and 2 supports are the spoils for the Radiant. So 1,000 net gold, about 1,500 experience.
Luckily for SGG, they have the Treant who can go into work healing that tower back up to full. Not permanent in this game.
You are finally able to right click a little bit in that one. They even had the grip canceled immediately. Nice overgrowth though. And with the basher, seems like this Midas paying dividends for Yawar. He's, you know, almost at parity with the OD's net worth. Speaking of that OD, bot lane. And again, we stagnate back to farming. 20,000 net worth lead for Thunderbird's side. Still not entirely with the confidence to break high ground here. Almost at a hex.
He's got 1,200 gold after his Midas. Could be thinking about the Solar Crest again.
Will be really nice against the NP and the Jug. Speaking of the NP, though, he's nearing a hex at this point. We can just buy it up in a creep camp or so. Maybe contemplating selling the drums. Oh, 3 charges, though. He will just wait out the bounty rune spawn. Smoke from Saxa and Rezo. We as well involved in it, and they're going to beeline towards bottom lane, where Snake King is going to be able to chain his way back to safety. So Thunderbird's yet to find an opening, but they do have a Silver Edge Hex Prophet now. He can certainly find himself some openings. If he has any sort of beat on the enemy's location.
Wee's like 800 gold away from his own Hex, which is definitely going to be some...
And jumps in mid lane. Reckless abandon, not really caring about the impale there. CCNC makes it out. To top lane, however, does have the boots of travel though, so he's not necessarily out of potential base defense. So Blade Mail doing some work for Snake King. He's got the hood as well, and yeah, Wee's going for the Hex, as you mentioned, rather than, you know, BKB against the Blade Mails of CCNC and Snake King. Either way. Blink Hex and Shadow Blade Hex. I mean, you get at least one of those cores in the Ember and the Timber, and that's boding very well for you in the fight. Lee gonna scout out Rezo briefly bottom lane, who's looking for Stanking, gets the Omni off. Nightmare will be there.
Moon solo kills CCNC top with the Hex reveal.
And
nice.
That is a big kill, much bigger than the one Resolution ends up netting. So his TP back up, and immediately to the mid lane they go. CCNC forced to buy back. They'll pop the drum charge, and Glyph will be expended here. As Rezo makes his way in towards mid, he's got the Solar Crest behind him, as well as the Bloodlust. Jump forward with the Hex from Wee. They are going to find one, and that's going to be the Timbersaw of Snake King. Kind of the only frontliner now dead here. Or is GG. Yawar in trouble. They've got the Hurricane Pike as well. Wee sitting on 32 int. CCNC tries to pop the Blade Mail. Both shrines simultaneously popped in the mid lane, and now Wee down to the bottom lane. Forces the BKB out from Yawar. Will force himself back. Oh, blink forward though with the chains. The self-defensive Astral, and now Yawar in trouble with the Manta. They bring him down. CCNC tries to remnant forward. Cannot kill off the OD, and GG is called. And as has been the theme of the day, sub 40 minutes. Thunderbirds able to attain victory here. Do you feel like it's a bit of a draft limitation, or did the lanes just go too poorly? Where is GG go from here for the second game?
I think Moon was definitely the MVP of that game, really exerting control over the entire map with Nature's Prophet. SDG was unable to shut him down at all. He just farmed pretty much for the entire game wherever he wanted. Definitely set the tone for the whole draft with that early MP. We'll see what SDG does in the next game. Maybe they'll focus on banning out Moon's heroes, really eliminating the offlane pool completely.
Yeah, they definitely did so in the first phase. Unable to get kind of their team fight lineup off to a running start. there early on with the aggressive tri lane failing. So was a bit of an unforgiving decision, a bit of a feast or famine draft, and laning decision more so perhaps in the draft. Doesn't end up going well with Moon's first rotation, as you mentioned, kind of throwing a wrench into the entire plan of IsGG and playing on the back foot from thereafter. So very patient play. Thunderbirds going to take a 1-0 lead, guys. Best of 3 series here. Winner moves on to face NP in the grand finals. Guac Guac MRP Beyond the Summit, providing your coverage here on Epicenter _EN1. We'll be back